Okay, this is more of a follow-up video. I did the first video on this a while back after I had found a article that I just thought was cool as hell. But steading. This whole thing is setting up private island or city at sea. I still believe it is a good idea. However, after, as I said, my earlier video on the matter, and then following a viewer's input, I decided that it would probably be a good idea to take in as many opinions and ideas as possible. And there are a number of concerns with something like this. After trying to go and visualize this a bit more, one of the things that came up was a political structure. And then we have social structures, we have defense, we have economics, infrastructure, trade. These are all things that would have to be mapped out and planned prior to anything actually getting established. In the realm of political structure, keep in mind, a political structure will essentially determine all other aspects of life within each floating city, or in this case, it may be more like a city-state. This is going to be interesting because if I'm right, then in the end, or at least at some point in time, the cities are going to be modular. You can take your segment of city that you have and take it from one place to another. And you'll be able to come and go as you please. Now, if we try to employ any currently used political structure, it'll fail. Any current tax system, it won't work, because all the people have to do is unhook and float away. Then there's also the issue with defense. And from there, we have voting privileges. And since we are of the human race, we, as humans, we tend to crave status. And eventually, such concepts will become institutionalized. And since we know this is going to happen, it might be a good idea to try and guide it to institutionalized status system that's going to go and actually benefit everybody. We're also going to need court systems, trade laws and policies, and a social structure. But I'll get to that. A political structure. At the moment, I'm currently envisioning a form of a republic. It's to have two houses similar to the House and the Senate. But as far as the legislature goes, term limits are to be employed, and right now I'm thinking a maximum of 3 terms. For a presidential office, I'd say a maximum of 2 terms. Once again, back over to like the 2 houses of Congress, essentially. I think our current system doesn't quite work. For the lower house, I'd say probably 3-year terms, and for essentially the Senate, a 5-year term. But with a 5-year term, you have a 2-term term limit. Also, there should be prerequisites in order to be able to hold public office. One would be a basic understanding of economics, as well as understanding and experience in either engineering or a science, whether it's nanotech, biology, medicine, rocket science. You have to have the mind capacity for the job, and also along with this, military service at some point in time, because the only way to military service, that's going to be key, because, well, in the end, it's not going to be that much of a hindrance for people. But the reason for military service is essentially if you are unwilling to put your life on the line for a group of people, or for your city, state, your nation, what business does anyone have in leading any part of that? Because unless you're able to go and make essentially the ultimate sacrifice for it, then you're really not that dedicated. But as I said, after thinking about this, that may not be such a big issue with all this. Now, as far as government itself goes, like the job of government, I came up with a few categories. We have the court system. We have the ability to pass laws and sign treaties. Trade, in some sense. Especially being a city-state out in the middle of an ocean, you would almost want a centralized form of international trade. Defense, infrastructure, and scientific R&D. Now, with the courts, we're going to need to have judges, or at some point in time, we're going to have a judge involved. We can have as many cases be held by a jury, but from time to time, judges are going to be necessary. In this setup, I would suggest that the judges are subject to public investigation at any time during their tenure as a judge. Police, we're going to need a security force of some sort, but there are to be public controls on the police force, no unions, no additional bargaining power against the people you work for and are sworn to protect. You do something, like if it's on video, guess what? You're out of the city-state. You're gone. You're in exile. Then we have state and court officials, right? I mean, all of which can be exiled. But most importantly, none of them have immunity for their actions. Now, laws and treaties, these are to be decided by each individual floating city-state. I would say the treaties would that we would be able to employ would be for trade and military purposes only. Now, in the trade portion, I'd say it has to be broken up into two separate categories. We have our basic commerce, which is exchanges and purchases within the city-state itself. That would be tax-free, duty-free. On the other hand, we, as a city-state, we'd still have to generate some form of revenue or taxes in order to maintain the structure and the infrastructure. This we could generate by, in a sense, taxing patents. They can be generated by a 10% ownership of the proceeds from patents generated from the city or using equipment that is within the confines of the city-state. This money is to be used for like maintenance, and along with the purchase and development of emergency equipment and unfettered internet access. Whatever money is not used in this context can be funneled directly into the science and R&D department. I got unlike most of my videos, I actually have an outline here because this is fairly involved. As a society, though, we need essentially a conscripted military. It sucks. As a result of living on a floating city, everybody over the age of 21 will serve approximately 2 years of military service. This will ensure that as many people as possible can be called upon in the case of a emergency, whether it comes from or it comes in the form of active defense or evacuation and search and rescue missions. We're going to need as many people as possible to know the ins and outs, every nut and bolt, just as a result of the inherent danger of a city at sea. Also, as a society, we're probably going to want to be more science oriented. As a result of the limitations of living on a man made island, we must be a culture of the mind. Our wealth will be derived from inventions, the whole 10% of the patent proceeds. The citizen owns the patent, but for a designated period of time, a portion of the proceeds and wealth derived from that patent goes into funding the city-state. And we can probably make some money and bring in some additional outside wealth through tourism. Science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM fields, should be stressed in all educational endeavors, along with history to be used as a guiding light. Now, with trade and commerce, like I said, the primary source of revenue for the floating city would need to be derived from the profits from all the patents created by the use of the scientific equipment within the city-state. So overall, commerce itself is tax-free. The government retains the right to sign on to any trade treaty, but said treaty, as a result of the total population that would be involved, any treaty can be overturned by a popular vote by the people. This would also be like the perfect safe haven for medical R&D. We can research just about whatever we want without having to worry about some of these really stupid laws and policies that hinder advancement. It'd also be a good idea to have all of the labs interlinked, so that way information can be shared amongst the labs. Keep in mind, the city-state, the way it's going to have to be organized is essentially as a corporation almost at sea. However, this would be a employee-owned corporation. And we could introduce additional sources of revenue by renting out pads to the commercial space industry, and they are going to need access to these things. As far as currency goes, in order to be active and involved in international trade, a virtual currency will probably be our primary tool in the context of international trade. As far as within the city-state, honestly, the more I look at it, the more truly socialist it appears. I'll get into that in a little bit. But we can also generate income by building and renting out computer time. Since electricity here would essentially be free. Manufacturing, we can use 3D printers along with a few other new technologies to assist in the ability to manufacture technological products. But this is where a trade agreement would come in, because we would still need access to raw materials. Just with some of these issues right here, I haven't even gotten into defense or a couple of the other issues for that matter. You can begin to see as to how immense this undertaking would actually be. I'm going to have to finish this up with a second video. I hope this was informative.